Samsung copies, Sweeney's latest nonsense, and 3 billion hacked. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by 1Password. More than just a password manager, now with extended access management. Find out more at onepassword.com/product/XAM. So this one, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to do an I told you so, because a few weeks ago, most of you disagreed with me on an article, I believe it was by iMore, saying that Samsung had really copied the Apple Watch Ultra. And the assembled panels said, no, that's not right. They didn't copy that much. Well, apparently the chairman of Samsung is livid with his people because they keep ripping off Apple's designs. So I don't think I have anything else in common with the chairman of Samsung except this opinion that, it's like you guys, and especially the article cites the new Buds as well as their new Galaxy Watch. But I look at it and I see, how can you not see it? And apparently he can see it and has even allegedly taken some actions against maybe some of his executives, that the internal atmosphere is not good because of this. So for what it's worth.
So maybe they should go back to looking at a bowl of water and using that as inspiration for their designs. Was that too deep of a cut?
No, it wasn't too deep of a cut. It's just, yeah, okay. I liked it, Jeff. I really did. I liked it. Okay, so on the topic of executives being a little bit strange.
Thank you very much.
Not all executives, just the ones we mentioned here. Oh, Marty, I'm sorry. Did you have a comment on which I'm just not back in the groove of managing the chats well. Which article did you want to comment on?
It's fine. I wanted to comment sort of on the Samsung ripping things off. The article is really interesting. The comments while we were temporarily car and driver, I was reading into the comments of that article, and it was the comments are really funny because it goes the article and the comments go, and what about this? And if we go back to this, then it was this. And if we go back to this, and it made me really think, how much can you do in terms of designing objects without seeing the similarities of them and go, oh, it's a ripoff of this? I think that's kind of human nature. Unless we're going to create watches that are shaped like parallelograms, I just don't know. You got round, you got square, and some options beyond that. But it really is tied, I think, to how people use it more so than we got to come up with something distinctly different. Because if you come up with something distinctly different, then it's just not functional.
Marty, I agree with you. I guess just even some of the color choices. I mean, that sounds superficial, but you have a whole spectrum of color choices, and you just happen to pick the same orange or a very, 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 very similar orange to the Apple Watch Ultra. It just those kind of things. Just I'm glad the Samsung chairman is livid. That.
So I guess the trick is to pick all the pretty colors first, and then nobody else can pick those colors.
Well, maybe.
That's so crazy. It just might work.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, but just do something to make yours clearly yours as opposed to someone else's. I mean, as much as you can. I agree with you on the round versus rectangular and some of that. And this is treading dangerously close on the discussions of laptop design that we've had. At some point, when do you hit ultimate laptop design, and what else can you do with it? So sort of the same with the watch. But on the other hand, there are ways to differentiate it that would, I think, play well for Samsung if they really wanted to. Instead, they're happy copying.
Well, it's fun. It'll go on. It will continue to go on back and forth. And folks who are in bed with one platform will always claim the other platform took their girlfriend. So
All right. So going back to the executives, Tim Sweeney has kind of done it again. Did you guys see this where he thinks that Find My Tech is creepy because apparently somebody stole a device of his and he's claiming that the thief's privacy is being invaded because he could find his device with Find My?
Hold on.
Is Tim Sweeney running for
Okay, here we
president?
go.
Because this seems like that kind of cell phone.
I read this like 5 times, and it's like, what is he talking about?
Everyone did, Chuck.
Okay, good.
I think he's just trying to draw attention away from the
face palmed.
Yeah, he's just trying to draw attention away from Epic Games' other legal issues.
Well, this just, I mean, and I've a whole nother discussion that I'm not going to go on, but I recently read an article with Tim Sweeney as one of 3 people's commenting on something else. And the comments seemed very lucid and very intelligent and very reasonable. And then you see some of the stuff that he's coming out with here. But this one, this just feels like attacking Apple just for the sake of attacking Apple, as opposed to even advancing his company's interests.
Of course, it's an attack on Apple. That's exactly the point. Tim Sweeney, when he's making comments like this, what he's trying to do is sow distrust and disdain in Apple. This has nothing to do with Find My specifically. This is about taking any opportunity he can to smear Apple. And there you go. That's it.
Except the thing is, there is no opportunity here. And all he did was get the entire internet to make fun of him.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Brian?
I'll say, if you're a non-Apple user and you read this article, it might make you switch. You're like, that's great. I wish this, we've all had things lost or stolen before. It happens. How great would it be to get your stuff back?
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear you say that, because I looked at this and I thought, this is exactly a demonstration of just how good the technology is. But according to Tim, it's super creepy. I don't understand.
I think everything I saw on the internet responding to this was, what is the matter with Tim Sweeney? I mean, everything.
Yeah.
That was certainly my reaction. So, if he's this much of an idiot on this, then that's going to, what does that tell me about everything else he has to say?
Yeah, that's a real good point, Jim. And I hope people look at it that way, because we've all talked about some of that.
Well, I think sometimes people forget about all of the iPhones that used to get stolen from people all the time. Robberies as you're traveling to your car, people watching Apple stores and stealing phones, on your way to your car. All of that went away when they started locking the phones down and adding Find My. It's just not worth it. You can't do anything with the phone. That made a huge difference. It's a whole lot safer to walk around with a phone now.
The brick.
Yep. Webb?
Just a quick aside. So I've mentioned here before that I have another home here in Kansas City. And to make a kind of a long, boring story a little bit short, these are my iPod Pro 2s. And I lost them. They fell out of my pocket. They happened to fall out of my pocket at my other home. So fortunately it wasn't out in the wild, but I was looking for them, couldn't find them. I decided to pull out my phone, pick up Find My, and sure enough, not only did it tell me that it was in my other home, but once I got there, the indicator, the direction indicator, took me exactly to where they were, which was on the floor that had kind of fallen behind the bed. So I became a real fan of Find My, and not think that it's creepy. So,
yeah, Marty.
Just the comments on the article again. They just tear them apart. Actually, I was thinking that I don't use Find My that much. My wife has me use Find My to find her stuff. So I mean, it serves a good purpose in our household. You know, where'd I put my? It should be called Where'd I Put My?
Marty will have a new brand of T-shirts coming out for husbands that perform this service for their wives. I have to say, I told you I just did some traveling, and I had an air tag on my keys. I had an air tag in my luggage. I always keep an air tag in my backpack. Whenever I would leave the hotel room and leave any 1, 2, or 3 of those devices, I would get a notification that I'd left them behind. And, it's really nice. And I also, in my check luggage, once I got off the plane, I was immediately notified that, okay, I could find my luggage. I knew it was with me. It's a system that works. I mean, we've said it before, nefarious people put it to nefarious uses, but the technology is not evil, and it works. And hey, it just helped Webb find his AirPods Pro. David, I'm calling you out on this one.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Oh boy. What is with the Illinois governor?
You are putting me on the spot here.
Yeah. Oh, I know. He approved, I guess, if I'm reading it right, he approved extended use or less restricted use of biometric data. And I shake my head at this and think, did I misread this? Why? This just smacks of, taking more privacy and creating less security for people, and this time with their biometrics.
Well, I mean, Illinois was well known to have this biometric law. I mean, hey, I got a nice big refund check from Facebook when they were doing this stuff, and it's against the law here in this state. So I commend them for having that type of law, because it is privacy concerns if you don't opt into it, or you can't even opt into it. It's against the law in this state. So I think maybe he's just trying to loosen it up a little bit. Is what I can say on this. I'm not too sure, but J.B. Pritzker is pretty well known to be really aggressive with a lot of things that goes on in this state. But he's also a pretty decent governor compared to the 4 others that have been in jail. But I'm not surprised that he came up with something like this. Not much else I could say other than it is the biometric data that this state and a number of other states in this country, in the United States, that have these laws on the books because of this very reason. It's just privacy concerns.
I don't know. It just gets weirder and weirder, I swear.
Yeah.
Today's MacVoices is supported by 1Password Extended Asset Management. Do all of your company's employees work on company-owned devices and IT-approved apps? No, not part of the time, but all of the time. If not, then you have a security vulnerability that you really don't want in today's world. 1Password Extended Asset Management is here to help. You already know the 1Password name as a trusted choice for securing your passwords and other confidential information in your personal life. Now, you see those same benefits in the corporate world. 1Password Extended Asset Management helps your IT team secure every sign-in for every app on every device. It solves the problems that IAM and MDM can't touch. Get those unmanaged devices, apps, and identities under control now with 1Password Extended Asset Management. Find out all you need to know at onepassword.com/product/XAM. Again, that's onepassword.com/product/XAM. Thanks to 1Password for their support of MacVoices. I guess now it's a few weeks ago, we told you not to worry about your passwords because all your data had been already exposed. Well, there was another one that came out this week, or I guess came out during our hiatus, that a hack may have exposed the data of 3 billion people. Now, just today,
2.7 billion.
Excuse me, Jeff. Thank you. They're selling a 277 gigabyte database for the price of $3.5 million with all this information. Now, I guess the good news is that just today on the Tech Meme ride home, I heard that apparently there have been some forensics done on some of this, and most of these are old addresses, and some of the information is just not accurate. But still, names, addresses, social security numbers, they're still out there floating around. So I don't know what you do with this except to just say, change your passwords. Anytime you get a notification, do something to try to protect yourself.
I think the big
Personally,
problem.
I'm going to change my DNA.
Yes. Yes. Change your DNA first. Yep. Okay. So here's a big problem that I see with this. Companies like NPD, which is the company that was hacked, they don't face harsh enough repercussions for failing to adequately protect consumer data. Now, granted, there's no way to make sure that all the data is always safe. There's this absolutely insane Cold War going on underneath the whole technology infrastructure with hackers and IT teams trying to leapfrog each other to either get into your data or to protect your data. And it's reached the point where this is a battle that's being fought by AI, and humans can't keep up anymore. So it's left to the computers to fight each other. That's a big thing right there. Nonetheless, if you have the ability to collect information on literally billions of people, and you are not protecting that in a way where it can be saved or saved from being stolen, or at least significant amounts of data can be saved from being stolen, then there's a big problem. There should be serious repercussions for this. And the likelihood that this company will face that level of repercussion is very low. And I think that's simply because there's no infrastructure in place to adequately deal with how do you punish a company on this scale. All right, I'm off my soapbox.
No, Jeff, I think it's one of the questions that everybody's wrestling with, and eventually, I hope tonight we'll get to some of the updates or commentary on CrowdStrike that have developed. But I don't know what the answer is. Is punishment the answer? Do you kill a company because of something like this? And do you kill a company because they got hacked, or do you kill a company because they were sloppy with it? And what constitutes? We all could probably do the two ends of the spectrum, where something was very secure and it just plain got hacked, versus somebody that was just really sloppy and posted something out there without encryption. But where do you find the middle ground to decide what punishment is appropriate, if punishment is appropriate?
Totally valid questions.
Jeff, my question to you is that what's the proper remedy then? You said, yeah, somebody really needs to get whacked here, but what's the proper remedy? And also keep in mind that at the end of the day, it's going to be the insurance industry that's going to be paying this. So
yeah, that's fair. And honestly, I don't know what the remedy should be. We're talking about
cash?
Maybe, or is it? I don't know. We're talking about an incident that at this point is literally unprecedented. So, yeah, I'm on my soapbox saying we need to do something, but I will readily admit I don't know what we need to do. But But maybe the remedy is finding better, more effective systems for protecting the data. I don't know. It's seriously, I'm just like grasping at straws here right now.
It is my biggest fear in my business world of having a cyber incident of some kind.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, for the industry that you are in, I mean, I imagine that could be absolutely devastating.
Yeah, are there best practices out there for, and maybe Webb knows this, or for this type of that companies can be held accountable for, to say this is the best practice or at least minimal standard that you need to have set up, and you can't account for everything. You can't account for new pathways that hackers come up with.
Yeah, I would equate it to whack-a-mole. As soon as we fix this thing here, something's going to pop up over there. It's David. You probably know more about this than I do, though, technically. So,
yeah.
Well, Brian.
Oh, I was just thinking, just to have an equal amount of money that would be as a punishment, of all these, in this case, billions of people, but it's placing a monetary value on your private data, and each individual and how we value that private data and the value of that private data in other people's hands is obviously different, but it would be an equal amount that would be dished out, if it ended up going through the court system and paid out, in a settlement of some sort. But I don't know. The whole concept is just fascinating, I think, just to think about.
Brian, here's the irony. Can you imagine the database of information they would have to maintain to be able to dole out those payments?
Yeah. And then that would get hacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why am I laughing? That's unfortunately, it's true. It's true. Eric? You're muted, Eric.
Dog was barking. There's already penalties in place for hospitals with medical data, schools with student data, and there's some requirements. The data needs to be encrypted because of prior losses. Don't put every single person you've ever known about on every single laptop that you send out with every nurse. Put a reduced set of data because you don't need all of it. You just need what you need for that day. There have been a bunch of issues with contractors having access to all of AT&T's data and having it in a data set that's maybe not as encrypted as it should be, or wide open, or whatever. Maybe not every single piece of data needs to be available to everyone, or not available all the time. So I think having enough encouragement to have companies start experimenting with how to reduce the massive sets of data so that it's smaller chunks. So if something makes it out to the world, it's not, almost 3 billion items in a data set. It's less than that. I don't know what you do if it's a company that's aggregating data over decades and holding it and trading it. That should be encrypted too. So even if the data is stolen, you can't use all of it. That's harder if it's all just one big pool. I think there's a lot of old data that is carelessly stored because it never needed to be protected before.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've talked about this. At least somebody else on the panel, I think, will have had this experience that when you went to college and your test scores were posted, they used your social security number. Everybody's social security number was posted right up there for anyone to copy down, but none of us realized the implications because we didn't. That was pre a lot of what we have now.
Gosh, they had the social security number on your driver's license at some points too.
Well, I know that when my aunt passed away and we cleaned out her house, she was one of those that kept meticulous records and kept every bill that she'd ever received.
Yeah.
We found bills from the electric company with their social security number on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Why did the power company need the social security number
on the bill? I mean, they have it in their records, but they no business printing it onto their bills.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, everybody was a bit naive back then.
Yeah. Back in those days, that was just a normal thing.
Yeah. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.